Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the leaders and best. Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the champions of the West.
Well, Fielding Yost was clearly the man. Yeah, Fielding Yost arrived here in 1901. He was 31 years old. He had a law degree from West Virginia University, but rather than practice law, he played football at West Virginia, so he wanted to pursue a coaching career, and after 3 or 4 years of coaching at other places, he arrives at Michigan in 1901. And in 1922, the big story was that Ohio State put up their stadium. Now they had the largest one this side of the Alleghenies, and they invited Michigan to come down to be the host team. In 1924, Illinois, Minnesota, and up in East Lansing, the Michigan Agricultural College put up their stadiums. Fielding Yost decided if his team could play before 70,000 people in Champaign-Urbana and before 70,000 people in Columbus, then it ought to be able to play before 70,000 people in Ann Arbor. And it was at the end of that season that he committed himself to building a new stadium in Ann Arbor. And then he began basically walking all over the place to see what might be the best spot to put in his new stadium. And in fact, the place he originally selected was where the golf course is today. So it was a real struggle in this town to convince, number one, the faculty, and then number two, the regents. I mean, we take it for granted today, but I think people need to understand that here at the University of Chicago, you had Amos Alonzo Stagg, who was at least as much of a legend as Yost, and yet the University of Chicago, going through this same debate, decided very definitively to go the other direction, that football had no place in an academic setting, that basically it polluted the atmosphere, all this crazy stuff on the weekends. I mean, the reason this stadium exists in Ann Arbor, I think, is that Yost was not intimidated by this debate. He was not intimidated by the faculty. He was not intimidated by the regents. He was willing to take them on their own ground and defend what he felt was an appropriate university pursuit. And in the final analysis, he won, and he was able to build this great stadium. Often we're asked where the idea for Michigan's tunnel came from. And out on North Campus at the Bentley Historical Library is the actual notebook that Fielding Yost put together with the photographs of stadiums that he was looking at as he was thinking about what he wanted Michigan Stadium to look like. And when you go through that, there are pictures of Pittsburgh Stadium in Illinois and Minnesota and so on. But in the middle of that notebook are 3 or 4 pages of ancient Roman stadiums. And if you've ever been to one or seen one, almost all of them have a tunnel like this that comes from the outside onto the floor of the arena, which the Romans used much like the Michigan band uses today for processions to come onto the arena floor. Well, the water table in Michigan Stadium today stands about 18 inches above the field level. So they have pumps running all the time like sump pumps in your home. And if they weren't running all the time, we'd be in a wading pool here instead of standing on a football field. When they originally built this stadium back in 1927, they ran into terrible water problems in the construction, and at one time they estimated they had 1 million gallons of water a day running over the construction site. The new luxury boxes, if you look at the scoreboard at the end, the new luxury boxes in the stadium are going to be 10 feet higher than the scoreboard. And they're going to go from about section 29 there down to about section 18, those 2 flagpoles that you see. The sports box, the press box will be there, of course, but it's going to be pushed back and it'll be raised up higher, and where it actually sits now will be seating.